My first kiss was one of the most incredible moments of my life. I remember how nervous I felt, how numb my lips felt. It was such a weird moment because I vividly remember feeling both fear and excitement at the same time for maybe the first time in my life. Everything about that moment was incredible, from the how it happened to the person I was with, literally everything. However, this is not a video about incredible first kisses. But what this video is about is how, for a lot of guys, our first and most sustained experiences of physical affection is usually within the context of romantic relationships. And that's an issue because that means there's a whole generation of men who have never been held before, who have never been kissed before, who have never experienced or felt comfortable expressing non-sexual physical affection. And that's a huge problem because physical affection is vital for our well-being. Since birth, our sense of touch was the way that we experience care, belonging, security, love. And these aren't things that you graduate from. I'd argue that as you grow older, as you experience more stresses, more trauma, that you need physical affection now as much as you did as when you were a child. The reason I want us to contend with this is because I believe that physical affection is so important because it's such an immersive experience. It gives us those feelings of belonging, of community, of love, care, all of these things that we are constantly searching for. And that brings me back to the main point of this video, which is there's a whole generation of men who have never experienced that, who only think that physical affection is a vehicle to sex or sexual pleasure. Like literally every problem in the world, this issue boils down to three things: patriarchy, misogyny, and homophobia. What makes this issue stand out in particular to me is the fact that as men, we have almost developed this kind of surveillance state mechanism in terms of how we police our behavior, making not only the appearance of physical affection almost non-existent, but also promoting a high degree of self-censorship, which we can see through the use of certain terms like pause, no homo, telling people they're dick riding or glazing. And all of these things have essentially created this culture of fear, of muting ourselves, muting how much we express ourselves. And this behavior, this culture of self-censorship has become mainstreamed through music, through popular streamers. There's so much of these words that have become ingrained in our daily lives that I don't know if we can simply turn it off anymore. I want to bring in a quote by Bell Hooks here, which is probably you've heard of it or seen it, but I think it's very important for this video, which says, "The first act of violence that patriarchy demands of males is not violence towards women. Instead, patriarchy demands that of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self-mutilation, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. If an individual is not successful in emotionally crippling himself, he can count on patriarchal men to enact rituals of power that will assault his self-esteem." So the question becomes, what now? And I think the first thing that we need to realize is that systems only have power when we engage with them. But when we resist and when we rally against that system, time after time, they fall. And so the best way to engage with these systems that promote these violent and aggressive views of what a man is, by actively rallying against it through our individual actions, by recognizing that there is no one way to be a man, that your masculinity is defined by you and no one else, and making space for those differences. And ultimately, it's about learning to express yourselves by speaking in admiration for people, speaking with passion, speaking with love, not being afraid to be weak, not be afraid to be gentle, to be able to express hurt and disappointment and sadness, and at the same time, joy. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys somewhere, somehow, on one of these channels. Peace.